Hello, good morning, good evening, merry time of day and happy new year. Let's see, I had a cat cam, but she has since gone off to do other cat things. Hello Max, hello Sarah, hello Jente. Welcome to the first live stream of 2025, which is interesting because this whole thing just started in 2024, so for the first time ever, a multi-year streaming thing. How are everyone doing? How has the new year been treating you so far? I mean, we're only 2 days in, so hopefully it hasn't had the time to throw too many curveballs your way just yet. I am getting back into work mode ever so slowly after taking a bit of a break over the holiday and New Year's season. Been editing a little bit, and Spouse gave me an idea for a fun project that I just can't get out of my head. Such as it is. Hello Kay, welcome. I hope you all have something nice to enjoy this. It has been a very snowy last couple of days here. It's been I think you call it a polar vortex, like polar low pressure event where you get a lot of snow and they're all in the forecast going, you know, take it slow, there's a lot of snow. Make sure you calculate extra time to get wherever you need to go, and be patient with other people in traffic, because it be snowing everywhere. They had assessed like half a meter today, which, how much is that? Like close to half a yard, which you don't measure snow in yards, but it gives you an idea of how much it's been supposed to arrive. Sarah says, much more seasonally appropriate weather after a sleeveless Christmas. Oh, interesting. We have not had a sleeveless Christmas. We have had a white Christmas and then some in the time after and leading up to New Year's and beyond. Hello, Kappa. Good morning. How has my Christmas been? My Yuletide season? It was quiet. It was nice. We celebrated with some loved ones, some friends, and some very young children. You know, they are very enthused about this time of year. It is something that gets hyped up a lot, so their expectations are through the roof. And then we ate a lot of good food and had some cakes and had a very good time. And then actually we've just been chilling at home the rest of the time. I don't know how it is in other places, but in Norway we call the period of time from Yule, the winter solstice, to New Year's for Romjul, which is like the in-between time. And this is usually a time where you go to dinner with your family, like a lot of dinners everywhere. But we have stayed at home this year. It's an 8-hour drive to any family members, so we have just chilled, and we've been too tired to host any of our friends or go to any of our friends, so we've just been staying home. We did the same for New Year's, and it was lovely. Just our little household, quietly doing our own thing, no big hosting thing. It has actually been really, really nice. For a change. It's the first time we've done that, and I'm in favor. I like. Kathleen says, Happy New Year. It's raining here and far too warm. A lot of my plants are confused. Oh no, that happens here sometimes too, where you suddenly get dandelions in the middle of winter, and even some bees or butterflies and things that, you know, they're not supposed to wake up now, and they do, and it's very confusing. I hope they don't get too confused. But yeah, that is indeed a thing that keeps happening. Hello, Lynn, welcome. We are trying out a new setup, which I kinda like, if only for the fact that I have more mobility. Because when I pull the desk all the way over to the chair over there, I kind of box myself in with my desk. So if the cats do anything or I need to run, I'm kind of stuck and it gets very awkward. Some of you have seen me forgetting my needle and thread and having to sort of scoot out on the side of the desk to try to get it. It's a little bit awkward. So I'm trying out something else that I'm actually enjoying, and I get to sit in my regular old kitchen chair, which shouldn't be comfortable compared to an armchair, but here we are. Max is making a teddy bear for their niece since her birthday is coming up and she'll be 2 years old. That is very cute. I made a loved one, a tiny little plush myself for the first time I've ever made a plushie. So I made a little black cat friend out of scraps, and it was a lot of fun. I've never made plushies before, so it was very simple, but so I can recommend. It's a fun thing to make little enthusiastic plushies. It says, for a few years cherry trees and other fruit trees were flowering in January. Oh wow, that is early if you are in the northern hemisphere. That sounds a bit much. Poor things, they must be very confused if they get another cold spell. And then this is a thing that happens a lot in Norway, where the fruit farmers will be, if a spring comes early or if they are getting unseasonally cold weather after, like the apples and the pears have bloomed, they have to like bring fires and heat and things out into the fields, out to the trees. I think it's the same. I've seen other farmers do similar things in other parts of the world too, where they have to protect the blossoms from freezing, otherwise they lose most of their crops for that year, which of course would be devastating to someone who lives from seasonally producing things, of which we are very dependent, since we eat, we are dependent on farmers multiple times a day since they make the food that we eat. Hello, darling, would you like to return to us? You didn't want to be in the pouch. Would you like to be in the pouch now? It's a compromise between not being allowed on the desk, but she can lie in my pouch if she wants to. Hello, sweetie. We're on my lap. Not on the desk, sweetie. There's far too many buttons to press over there. The pattern was inspired by Winnie the Pooh. That is a cute one. It's gonna make a very cute plushie. I'm sure their niece will be very happy about that. Lynn says there was just no real winter, to be honest. Oh, that is interesting. Usually when things bloom early here, you'll get hit by a surprise cold spell towards the end, where just everything that came up too early dies. And it's very tragic because it can be very hard on trees and plants to try to recover from blooming too early and then having to cut back. And trying again can be very, very hard for a tree. Look at that face. Oh my goodness. Them chin scritches, huh? You are the cutest. You know that. You do. Imernot says, hello, thank you for your videos. Well, thank you for watching them. Have you tried working with a sock darning machine like a vintage darning loom? I have not, mainly because when I have looked for one, buying them new isn't quite my vibe and they're a little bit pricey, and buying them vintage here in Norway has been even more expensive. So I haven't been able to find one yet within my budget, and I haven't wanted to shell out a lot of money for it. Is more in my price range. So I am looking forward to trying it. It looks like people are making a lot of fun patterns with it, but I have not had the chance to acquire one yet. There aren't a lot of old ones in Norway. It wasn't a really big thing, so most of the ones in the market are new, and some of the prices have been like very all over the place. Like some stores will take 2 to 3 times what other stores will ask, which I find a bit, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I just haven't gotten around, and we're rarely in town to buy things, so it hasn't been on my list yet, but I hope to eventually. Luxelaire says, good evening Luxelaire, I hope you have a good one. I have a little snuggle bug coming and going. And now I've moved my microphone so maybe we can hear her. Sorry if moving that was noisy. Let's see. Last year we had strawberries in April. I hope this spring is a bit more typical. That is very early indeed. What is the thing hanging behind me? Do you mean this wooden thing? I'm gonna guess that you do. Shall we grab it? Ooh. It's not actually hanging. It's actually standing on the furniture. My working assumption is that this is a clapper. You know, those things that you use to press after you have been pressing, that you lay on top to get really nice crisp seams. I inherited this from my grandmother, and it is exquisitely carved. Look at this little horse that is a handle that has been glued multiple times because the cracks are something else. If I carefully show this to you without actually hitting the microphone. So it has a lot of cracks. The poor thing. I still want to use it though, because I don't really like having things that I don't use, but it is not in the best shape. And it has, see if you can see this, it has little wood carvings. It has a date on it, well, a year. It says, does that say 1763? That seems, no, 1980. It's all very faded. 1763 or 1983, maybe? It's quite hard to read. It's a bit faded. Let's see. Oop. So it has all of these cool little carvings, but it has lacquer on the front but nothing on the back, which is why my assumption is that it is a clapper, because it is untreated on the back. And of course it has the hook that you saw to hang it from, but that is my working assumption of what it is. I could be wrong. It also has, this is my favorite, like these are very pretty, these circles, but down here by the horse there are these very, I don't even know if I can show you, zoom, tiny like leaves and vines carvings. There you see it, maybe like a very, very subtle, and it looks like this was once green under the lacquer. She is in rough shape, as most things in my family. They receive rough treatment, but it is what it is. Here's another date. No, that's an 80 for some reason. It's a very cool clapper. Yes, I think so. And like a horse handle. I think that is very cute. Don't hit the microphone. So that lives over there. You love the horse handle? Yeah, me too. I think it's cool. You have infinite ribbing to work on this morning. I don't. I actually undid what I had been working on in favor of restarting it, but I kind of want to film it, which means I can't start it without starting it on camera. And you ever just want to start a project and you don't want to film it, but you know you'll regret it if you don't film it? It's the hardest part, I swear. Because sometimes you just want to make a thing, and you don't want to film it, or you don't want the fuss with the cameras, but you know you'll regret it if you don't film it at the end, because you want to show people what you made. Let's see. But I do have ye old shawl that cat paw already finished. And I just haven't been working on for months at this point, at least 1 month. I haven't been working on it all of December, so new setup looks fancy. Thank you, Stripey Crayons. I'm testing out new things in honor of it being a new year, and I'm kind of into it. I have more freedom to move around when I forget things, which is kind of nice. Also just valuable in and of itself. Are you gonna stay there, darling? Shall we see if we can set up a little bit of a cat cam? Not that I am obsessed with my feline companion or anything like that. Just a moment. Let's see. Where is my cat cam? And get it set up, pointing towards the beautiful madam having a bath. There she is. And we should plug the charger in, or the poor phone won't live that long, I fear. I shall be back in a moment. Whoop. Cat cam. Here she is. A little bit bright, but I guess I can move this slightly. Should be better. Yes, to the no filming debacle. Sometimes you just need a no video project every now and then. Mostly I don't film like vanilla sock knitting. Yeah, same, Jente. I was doing a similar thing where I was intending to make a cowl in like seed stitch, like super simple, but then Spouse gave me an idea to make it more elaborate, and now I have frogged the whole thing that was my off-screen project. And now I want to make something on screen. I just have to get started with filming, and then I can do it on stream, because there's always enough knitting to do something on the live stream. Winkleman is at the live stream for the first time. Welcome. I hope you have a happy new year. Lots of people welcoming you. It's very nice. Hello. And hello, Kelly and Marianne as well. What are you working on crafting this fine 2nd of January? Not that I'm losing my way in terms of what day it is or what date it is or anything like that. Stripey crayons just painted their fingernails and can't craft until they're dry. Oh no! Oh, the struggle is real. At least we can sit here and talk to you about the things that we are crafting for now, and hopefully that'll help. But yeah, I have my little, no, not little, it's almost done, white As You Like It shawl, because if you've seen my As You Like It shawl for the black one, almost as soon as that video went live, I wanted to make another one. I wanted to make one for myself, and I have a lot of this white wool, so I thought, why not? And I almost immediately jumped into making a second one, which, you know, is another non-filming, non-main video project that I can do, because I've already made a video about it, so I don't need to make a second one. At least that is what I tell myself. And it's very nice, as we talked about, to have a couple of projects that don't need to be filmed, that you can work on in the evening, when the light is poor, when your brain is tired, all of those things. Moke says they are making a blanket on the final 6 rows. Ooh, how exciting. It's always nice to get towards the ends of projects. Oh, Sylvia is also having here for the first time. Welcome. A lot of new faces today. How exciting. I have to remember what I'm doing. I hope you're having a good time. If you are new here, if you haven't been watching like replays of the live streams either, there are ads every 30 minutes, but we pause for ads. So if you get ads, you don't miss anything. When you get ads, you support the channel in a... I don't want to leave anyone behind. Jente is working on a pair of fingerless mittens with a Rohan banner on them. Oh my goodness. That is so cool. You have the coolest projects. Like, I don't remember the name of those mittens, the gothic. Well, I think goth, but that wasn't... Oh, they were so cool. People were sharing them in the Discord and being super excited about them. They were really, really cool. A moment, I'm just gonna... like so. Just came back from work and Madame the cat needs some cuddles. Madame cats need the cat. That is a need that we must provide, isn't it? Very, very important catting to do. I'm so fast at things. Are you talking to me, CGM? Because I am like the slowest crafter there ever was. This project has been... Like, we have a community member, Catpaw, who finished one of these shawls in 2 months, and here I am like half a year later still working on it, even though it's my pattern. Or and I'm just super slow at it. What can you do? Good morning from Canada. Good morning, Blue Iris. Welcome. And Blue Iris is continuing on a metallic thread outline phoenix. Ooh, that sounds exciting. 1 row of stitching on dark navy cloth didn't really show up, so I'm doubling up the stitching lines. That is a very good way of solving things. It can be a bit frustrating when your experiments don't work the first time, but that is what experimental crafting is for, isn't it? Skullflake mittens they were. Yes, that was the word. Yeah, there was a lot of appreciation for those in the Discord. They are pretty amazing. Like, if you aren't aware, Min Walden, Jente, is another crafter here on the YouTubes, and they make some amazing content. A lot of fun, a lot of shenanigans, a lot of local wool appreciation, which we stan. That is very much, you know, we like our local production lines and to support local producers and crafters whenever we can. And hello, Haley, welcome. They are switching between work stuff and knitting the Outfoxed mitts. Ooh, that sounds like a lovely New Year project. I hope you have fun with that. It's a lot of great projects this year already. It's a lot of fun to see. What is the name for the stitch made with alternating a slip stitch and a chain stitch? I find it makes a nice cozy scrunchable fabric, but don't know what its name is. Would it count as joining? I am not sure, Sarah, because I'm assuming with something a chain stitch that is crochet, for which I don't have a very large vocabulary in English. I have to admit, maybe someone else in the chat has a lot more. If I'm with crafting like technical terms, crafting is so local, or like so localized. You cannot guess what terms are from one language to another based on what your language is calling it, because crafting terminology will just blow your head right off and be like, no, we call it this thing that associates with this farming thing or term, and then another language will be like, oh no, we associate it with this other thing way over here. And our words for it, even when directly translated, are completely different. It's a ride. Same with, you know, biology and botany. You cannot guess the names for things when learning a new language. It's just a mess. Kay is pre-drafting some slightly felted wool fluffs and regret having worked out hands and arms earlier today. Oh no! The struggle of needing those arms and hands and arms later when they have already been exhausted. Hope you're not overexerting yourself. Max is asking what my New Year's resolution is, and you know, you're welcome to call me Kristine, Max. I am Norway. We don't really have a title, or we don't really call people by titles. Haven't since Second World War. That's when it kind of fell out of favor, so I'm not really used to it. You're free to do it if you're more comfortable with that, but you are also welcome to call me by my first name if that is okay. What is my New Year's resolution? I don't really have one. I find that for one thing, like, goals for things that I can't control are difficult, and goals for things that I can control are sort of continuous and not really big things. Like, I like to have goals such as, you know, develop a sustainable work habit where I'm not burning myself out, but I'm also being productive enough that I'm happy with it. You know, within the 40-hour work week is where I want to be. I haven't managed that lately, but it can be difficult to do that, but I try to have more like work continuously on things and work towards project, get faster at editing so that we can produce more content within the same amount of work. But those are kind of eternal goals that I'm always striving towards, you know. I have stopped doing things like, you know, have X number of subscribers or earn X amounts of money or crafting, I suppose, is within my control to a certain extent, but like things that are not within my control are not things that I try to have as resolutions or goals, because I can control things like how many videos I publish, how much work and effort I put in, but I can't actually control where those videos go or what happens, if that makes sense. So I try to sort of separate within my control and outside my control. And if it's outside my control, it's kind of a vanity goal. Like, I don't actually put any stock in it. It's fun when I reach them, but I don't actually actively track them. And if it's within my control, it's something that I'm trying to improve all the time. The main thing being genuinely that I'm always trying to like develop what I would call in Norwegian en god hverdag, like a good everyday. So a good work day, a good, sleep routine, which I'm always trying to do, getting to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time, having my meals roughly at the same time and having nutritious meals, going for walks and moving my body within the working day, and trying to produce videos for you all within a reasonable time frame. Sort of always coming back to the smallest piece that I can control, which is trying to have a good, predictable work day that works with my health and my chronic conditions without hating on myself when I do have a sick day and have to be in bed all day. I don't know if that's a good answer. It's probably a bit of a cop-out, but that is genuinely kind of what I'm always focusing on, is just trying to have a good everyday routine that works for me. Sylvia says they finished knitting a sock weight emotional support chicken to surprise their sister. Need to stuff it and seam it. And there will be pictures on the Discord. That sounds awesome. That sounds really cute. I think your sister will be very happy with that kind of surprise. That sounds like a lot of fun. Bring a lot of smile on them too. Max says their resolutions is hopefully to get less migraines and let others do their thing. Those are good goals, since we can't control other people, just letting them do their thing without getting too upset is a good resolution to have indeed. When we have suggestions for Sarah to either a picot, a slip stitch, or a single separated by one or more chains, or mesh stitch. Many good suggestions. I do not know enough crochet terminology in English, especially to help you, so hopefully we can figuring this out. Regarding goals being long-term or constant, I call them standards, says Haley. I set standards for myself to have better work-life balance and listening to my body more. That is a good way of putting it. Yeah, it's kind of trying to have a baseline that works, and then when it's interesting. I listened to this person called Alan Donegan. They have a podcast called Rebel Entrepreneur, which is also their business, where they give away free courses in starting businesses for free without, big bank loans and debt. And the thing that he repeats the most on the podcast is, oh gosh, I lost it. I haven't listened to the podcast in a while. But the gist of it is like, success comes when you do you repeat the tasks again and again and again. Like anyone can do a thing once, but the difficult thing is doing it repeatedly until the growth comes along. And that kind of falls into what Haley is saying as well, that kind of building standards and building a daily life where you do the thing consistently is more important than cramming and trying to do it in shorts and bursts and starts. But it's hard to keep grinding at it consistently if you're always burning yourself out, so hence the need to try to remind myself to take breaks and actually have not 80 or 100 hour work weeks, but trying to lie in the 40 to 50 hour range where it seems my health can manage, and I'm also having a social life and, taking care of my loved ones. See? Luxelaire says, I heard about a New Year's resolution where someone bought and tried any fruit they haven't had before when they saw them in the store, and then read a Wikipedia article on that fruit. I want to try that. It seems fun. That does sound like a fun resolution. Always fun to try new experiences. They called it Fruit Adventure, and there was also Pasta Quest. Where they tried all the pasta shapes they saw. Those are adorable. I love that kind of. I hadn't thought about that kind of fun resolutions like that. Because when I grew up, there was always the pressure, to have the big improve yourself goal, the usual, exercise and diet and academic prowess and what have you. But those are really fun, like little quests. I like that approach. That is a fun thing. And definitely something that is within your control, you try new things when you see them. I like that. And Stripy Crayon says, because of school system, I had developed a feeling that September is more of a new year for me than January is. Interesting. I'm kind of opposite. Like, I don't feel like January is a natural new start to new things time. But I wouldn't go for autumn, because for me that feels like a winding down period. Like winter, everything takes longer, everything is slow. But I do like towards the end of winter, when spring is just starting to peek its head out. That is when the light has really increased and the days are longer. And that is generally when I get new resolution energy, because that feels like the new year is truly starting. I get more energy and I don't sleep quite as much. And yeah, so it's interesting when people associate like new project energy, new resolutions energy with which time of the year, because yeah, I don't quite feel that it is natural to have it like in the darkest time of the year. Moog says, I feel like when we talk about resolutions, we talk about restrictions on ourselves a lot. That is a good point. Do you have any fun goals? For example, I want to send a postcard to a friend every month in 2025. That is a lovely goal. That is a very cute one. I don't really see those as goals though, more as intentions, because I have that. I guess it's last year actually, even though it was just a week ago. But in Norway, advent calendars are quite common, one thing every day, a day of December until the Yule celebration. And last year I wrote a letter to spouse twice a month. And that adds up, in Norway we celebrate on the 24th, not the 25th. So twice a month actually perfectly fits. It was very satisfying to 24 letters for their advent calendar at the end of the year. And that was a lot of fun. And it was, cheap. It was frugal. It wasn't very wasteful, because letters are, bits of paper, and it has a lot of sentimental value. You're writing to your loved one as opposed to buying them stuff, and they really appreciated it. So I started a new one this year, and I'm excited to see what the year will bring, what kind of stories I will tell them. So I like that. All that to say that I really like that kind of way of looking at it, trying new things and doing fun things and kind things for your friends. So I like that, a postcard every month. People like receiving cards, don't they? And yet we aren't very good at sending them always. Max says, in my family we traditionally eat sauerkraut as a way to foretell the New Year's resolution. And they're not really a fan of sauerkraut. Well, it's not for everyone. That is an interesting tradition. I had never heard of that. We have a lot of cabbage in Norway too. It is quite traditional at this time of year, Brussels sprouts and cabbage, both red and white, and in all sorts of different shapes and preparations. I like just a bit of shredded cabbage with a bit of carrot, just plain salt and pepper, maybe a little bit of oil and vinegar. As a side dish, as a little coleslaw without anything else on it, I think it is very refreshing and nice. At least in Norway, Christmas food tends to be very heavy, so to have a lighter side dish can be very, very nice. Do recommend. Stripy Crayon says, my New Year's resolution is just to go to bed before 1 a.m. and try to get up at 9 a.m., which, with grace for bad days, that is very important. Because, when it comes to goal setting, so many people, there is science on this. If you have goals that are too strict or too absolute, as soon as you fail, people are generally going to just throw the goal out the window because they're like, oh yeah, but I didn't manage, so there's no point. So it's very important what you're mentioning there, Stripey Crayons, to have that grace to be like, yeah, but bad days are allowed. And that kind of builds in that expectation from the start, which I think it's a very important thing to do when setting goals and, you know, things for ourselves, to make sure that we remember that we are not robots. We are human and things happen, and sometimes it's worth it for, you know, if you're having a super good talk with a friend and it just becomes 3 a.m. just like that, that is okay. The time with friend was valuable and worth it, and that's all right. Sometimes these things are worth more than whatever routine we are trying to build. So I'm really glad to see people are like adding grace into their resolutions, because I think that is so important. A year is a long time to be doing, you know, some things. Oh, so you found it. Sarah says mesh stitch is the word, but with a slip stitch rather than single crochet. I'm glad the chat was able to help you where I could not. The community provides. I love to see it. Max says my family usually eat pork, but someone can't eat it, so they substitute for him. Yeah, that makes sense. I just don't see why people get weird about not providing for people, whether they be religious or ethical or allergies or whatever reason. Like making food that people can eat seems to me a good part of hosting loved ones and making them feel welcome. Food is such an important part of culture, isn't it? That is so adorable regarding the letters to your spouse. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was thinking about it last year. I was like, I don't really have a lot of money, but I have a perk in the Patreon that the top tiers get letters. So I have this letter writing paper sitting in my office. So what I can do is I can write them letters, and that will be the calendar, and that will be that. We did also end up, because spouse had taken out the crafting supplies, you know, all of December for doing Yule crafts and paper crafts and what have you. So we had origami paper that they had found lying around. So I actually ended up watching some tutorials in the morning and like folding them one thing to put on top of the letter. I didn't do it every day, but I did it a couple of days when I had the spoons and I found a cute pattern, and that was fun as well. Another thing that doesn't cost a lot but can really bring a smile on someone's face. And then spouse decorated the tree with them, which was very cute. But yeah, if you have a loved one that you want to make a calendar for, I can recommend writing letters, because it's very personal. I mean, what is more personal than a letter? But it isn't very big, and I think they are a lot of fun. It's become so, Lynn says it's become so hard to find nice letter writing paper. I keep looking for nice ones. I know, that is actually one of the biggest challenges, because that isn't really a thing that people do anymore. So I was actually really happy that after this advent calendar, one of the things spouse gifted me for Yule was the 3 sets of letter writing paper that they had found, which is very, very fitting. Very fun, indicates that they enjoyed the calendar. I have actually been looking for like Yule themed letter writing paper and haven't been able to find anything that is available close to me, because how fun would it be to write the calendar on like actually, you know, spruce and dried oranges and spices, that kind of themed paper. That seems really cute, but again, people aren't writing a lot of letters, and then not Yule is even more specific, so I haven't been able to find that, but maybe one day I will find something like that, or just end up ordering it custom, because I want it. That would be very cute little calendar. Haley says, as a recipient of one of those letters, the paper is gorgeous. It sits on one of my memorabilia shelves. Ah, thank you. They're fun to write as well, although it can be very hard to write to people that are often people you don't know, so you don't know anything about them, which makes it harder to write a letter, but we make do somehow. But yeah, they are a lot of fun. I look for nice letter writing stuff when I'm out and about because I find it a very cozy thing to do. It is something I enjoy. Now that would be actually fun merch ideas. I have not delved into the world of merch because I have not found ways to do it without feeling like I am engaging in the consumerist machine. That is a puzzle that I have not been able to solve, and it also doesn't really fit into our ethos of trying to source local for wherever we are. That's the hard thing, isn't it? Like, how do you can't really do merch if you want to encourage people to source locally. It's a conundrum. It's something that I get stumped on and then I don't know what to do. Maybe we just have to accept a little bit of difficulty mentally for it. I don't know, but it hasn't been top of my priority list, I will be honest. Because I haven't known, we haven't found a slogan or catchphrase for us that is kind of the one that resonates with the community strongly. Or maybe black cats. I mean, Darling is over there snoozing adorably. I guess that could be a thing, but yeah. I think these things kind of emerge organically within the community, so I haven't wanted to force it in any way that would seem weird. And Max says they are making a pair of arms for the teddy bear and they're not sure if they should attach it before or after the head. Having made exactly only one plushie, I did attach the head before I attached the arms, but I am the sample size of exactly one with no prior experience, so take that as you will. And Kathleen is leaving us. I am sorry I didn't see it earlier, but have a lovely rest of your week. And Mouk says, the curse with being a maker is that I always think I could make myself regarding Yule papers and letters. I can understand that. There's the problem of time though. And actually having time to do the thing. Your shawl pattern is technically merch. Interesting. I made a Chaos Goblin chart people can craft merch themselves with. Huh. I suppose that is a way of doing it. I like that as an idea, Yente, like having patterns as merch. Of course, the shawl pattern is free and I want to keep it that way, but maybe we can come up with some cute patterns for people to make things themselves. Like little embroidered banners or things like that. Maybe blackwork. Ooh. I like blackwork and the patterns are fun to make. Hold up, we are supposed to calm down and get videos out, not just focus on all the other fun things. And Haley is also saying a knitting or embroidery pattern could be merch, or like a chart for cross stitch or stranded knitting. I feel like we're all on the same page on this one, like getting similar ideas. How fun. And Mouk is also suggesting it. And I haven't even read the whole chat. If I just read the whole chat before letting my mind wander off, I would have gotten your ideas for free. My brain wouldn't have to think of them itself. I love that. Black work of a black cat, Stripey Crayon says. I like the way your brain works. That is meta, and I might have to do something with that. I'm sure it already exists though, so we shall have to find a way to put our own spin on it, which, I mean, there's always a way of doing that. Too many projects, too little time. I already have so many things I want to make before the winter season is over, and I don't know if I will manage before spring is springing. We shall see. Exciting things to come, maybe, I suppose, if I can finish them in time. I don't think it sounds weird to check the ingredients to make sure you don't accidentally serve someone something they don't eat, that is just considerate. I think that is a very kind thing to do. It's not a strange thing. I mean, it would be absolutely natural to do it for someone who has an allergy for something, so why wouldn't you do it for someone whose religious conviction or ethical or otherwise, like, there are far too many stories of people tricking the vegans or celiac intolerant people to eating things they can't eat and them getting really sick because of it. So I don't think that is strange at all. It's just showing care for a loved one, which I don't see any problem with. And digital downloads for embroidery patterns. We can embroider our own totes. Thus they become merch. I like that idea, Sylvia. What if, hear me out, not just totes, but what if we do it for like patchwork so that we have merch where you have something downloadable, but I encourage you to go in your scrap pile to make a thing out of it. Double duty. I like it. This is turning into a very productive live stream. My brain running all over the place. Hello, Joanna. Welcome. Happy New Year. You see, we have a new picture of the black hole, the cat cam. Yes, I'm trying out a slightly new setup just to see how we like it. And so far, I'm liking it quite a bit. It means a little bit less finagling around the office for me to set up for the live streams, which I appreciate. Pulling the desk back and forth isn't all that much work, but it is nice to be able to do it. Yeah, going back to sleep. I still haven't made that cat bed, but patchwork cat pattern. Ooh, I like how you think too, Kelly. Everyone's having so many great ideas. That's what happens when you have a community full of crafty, creative people, is that everyone pulls their idea together and awesome things come out of it. That's why we need to support creativity. It gets so much done. And I have a lot of engineers and other technical people as friends, and they use their creativity so much to problem solve. This whole idea that there is some kind of dichotomy between creativity and technical mathematical skill is just not true. Problem solving is problem solving, whether it is scientific or like mathematical or creativity and making things. That is the hill I will actually die on. Creativity is a useful skill anywhere. Even a design we can lino cut and stamp onto whatever we want. Ooh, I have never done lino cutting. I wonder what kind of tools would be necessary for that, but so many good ideas. Maybe we should do like a kit, because people do different things. Oh no, things are getting elaborate. Like if you have an embroidery pattern, but you also have a knitting pattern, and you also have a lino. Oh no, this is quickly running out of hand. I really liked the 10-gram cat you made that one time. That could be a patchwork pattern to make. That it could. I probably would recommend that the pattern be slightly larger though, because working in that size was a little bit fiddly. I did have to top stitch a bit to keep things in place, but that could be something very fun. I would love to see that. And maybe if people don't just have, I know people don't just have voids, they also have other adorable pet friends, so maybe we could have, people choose your own adventure, choose your own scraps, and end up with many different and adorable cats for many different cats and projects. I'm liking this idea a lot already. I should go. No, I don't want to scrap all the ideas I already have, because I want to do this too. You guys are enablers. This is, too many ideas in my head. That's why I have project lists. Hello, Emma. Happy New Year, and thank you to you. Happy New Year to you as well. Welcome. I hope you're having a good start to the New Year's. Emma says, thank you for being a calming presence while I knit hand warmers and do laundry. Oh, well, thank you for appreciating and being in the part of the community. That is, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you actually enjoying the content that I create, that wouldn't do much at all. So this is all, I exist because of you encouraging and supporting me, so thank you right back. Honestly, even image files can be good. People can support local print shops to get their stationery. That is a good point, Lynn. Like, there are many ways that we could. Like, it comes back to digital files, doesn't it? And then people either printing or other ways using patterns to make things locally or acquire them. It's a good solution to this whole, think globally, act locally thing that we like to encourage, but can be difficult if you actually want to have some sort of cohesive merch for your community. Although, if I cut out some cardboard, like with the hexagon quilts for the tangram cat, so I can actually make a couple, maybe I could make a couple for different people. I don't know. More tangram cats, I think, is the conclusion. Mook says pixel art translates to a lot of different crafts, right? That is a good point. There are many crafts where I can use. I mean, you can crochet, filet crochet, open air, like, and also color work knitting and cross stitch and tablet weaving to a certain extent can be, although you have to think about orientation of the cards. There are many options where pixel art can be applied. I also know people do this tapestry crochet thing that Spouse does, where they're doing 2 colors, but 1 color, 1 row at a time, and it builds into this thick, nice, strong and sturdy pattern that can be any sort of pixel art that they want, and I think it looks really cool. Joanna says, indeed, you can make Minecraft maps of it if you want. That sounds ambitious. Hello, Gisela. I'm afraid I do not speak Italian, so English is what we will have to rely on here without any live translators. But if you're wishing Happy New Year, then Happy New Year and welcome to 2025. I hope you have a good one. A cross-stitch pattern that says think global, act local would be very good. I mean, if our thing becomes the tangram cat, but every crafter makes their own, but it's still like the carrion call to be like, this is how we find our community members, is that everyone has their own handmade version of this thing, so that if someone has it, but it isn't handmade, you know that it is different. But we shouldn't exclude people who don't craft. But there are so many fun things to consider. Someone came up with a really good slogan a while back, and I have since forgotten because my brain is a Swiss cheese and full of holes. I want to work on that now, see if we can make something for the community that is adorable and, accessible, that isn't very difficult, so that people can do it. Because that is also important, that people of all sorts of different craft levels might find it possible and within their ability to do. Ah, beautiful 2025. That is very nice. So yeah, let's all hope for a beautiful 2025 and that it has started out well. People who don't craft can still print the pattern out on anything they like at local print shops. Yes, that is a very good point and a very good way of doing it so that everyone can feel included. And print shops aren't too expensive, are they? Ooh, we are about to have ads. A little bit late with that one, but ads are indeed a common. You're not sure if you should use puning or null binding for the short of the beard? I don't know. Do you have a preference? If you want to try puning, I know you're a dab hand at null binding, but you can always try puning if you want to get a little bit of a change, but go for whichever you feel the most up for doing. Instead of an ad, the video skipped back 5 seconds. YouTube is strange. That is strange. Maybe the advertisers have used up all their, advertising money in December as they do, and they just don't want to advertise to us in January, and that is just how that goes. I don't know. These ads are strange indeed. Apropos null binding, I was very happy to find out my father is really loving and wearing a null bound hat I made. I actually made for your mom. That is very nice. I mean, null bound stuff is very warm, so that is very nice if you are cold. It's nice when something you made is appreciated. That is very, very true. It is always lovely when people actually really enjoy a handmade gift. Don't just do the thank you and it ends up at the bottom of their pile of stuff they already have too much of. It's a nice feeling when you actually manage to hit the mark, and you can usually tell when they receive the gift if you're in the room whether it is a well-received one or a really well-received one. Sylvia says they've never heard of puning before. I have a new craft to learn. There are so many crafts to learn. So many fun things to learn. I wish YouTube just gave up on advertising at me. Well, that is kind of how the internet goes around, isn't it? How the internet gets paid for, so it has become a necessary evil. Alternatives are to hide everything behind subscriptions and paywalls, isn't it? And that's not really sustainable for people who don't have enough money already. It's such a difficult thing. And we don't want stuff to be controlled too tightly either. It's a difficult discussion, but I do sympathize. Like, ads can get really, really frustrating when you just get served them all the time. And the same ones. I was, it was so nice in the early days of podcasting for so long. You only had, if they were sponsored, you had ads within the video, like a lot of YouTubers do, and they didn't have pre-rolls and, after ads that were separate from that. But now, at least my podcast player, they have figured out how to put ads like they do in radio, in between each episode and in the middle of the episodes and things like that, just like for regular YouTube content. And I suppose it was inevitable, but it was very nice for very many years to just be able to listen to your podcast without any ads in the way. Too many crafts to learn. I don't need to learn whittling. I mean, whittling is cute though. You can make your own needle binding needles. And since I have become an adult and in charge of my own house, I am allowed to whittle indoors and then just take a broom, revolutionary idea, and clean up the mess that you make. It's very nice. It's a friend who showed me when I was living at their place while attending uni, and revolutionary. Just clean up when you're done. Make sure you don't do it too close to blankets and wool carpets and things like that. In Norway it's very common with hardwood floors these days, so that is usually not a big problem. It just feels like, don't waste your advertising budget on me because I don't have any money to buy your stuff. I can see that argument. Then again, the big brands who advertise to you usually have the budget for that, so I don't know. It's a difficult balance. Um, I absolutely do need to learn whittling, says Luxlair. Yeah, I am not very good at whittling. I can just get by if I need to make something simple, like a needle binding needle, or very simple. Like I made a couple of shuttles for weaving at Viking markets because I needed more if I was doing multiple colors, but I can't do like sculptures or some of the gorgeous work that some people can do. It's really, really skilled. But some very basic stuff. You know, you're just trying your best to carve something out of wood and it'll be serviceable, is good. And the good thing about needle binding needle is that since wool, if you're using wool, is, you know, slightly rough, it sands the needle so that even if you start out with a slightly, even if you start out with a slightly rough one, it will sort of smooth out as you're using it, which was a really nice bonus the first time I made one. After using it for a couple of years, you end up with a really, really smooth needle that, you know, would require some super fine sandpaper to acquire, and you just kind of get it for free for using the tools, which I think is really cool. I have YouTube Prime, so I have no ads. That is also a way to do it if you have the funds for it. Spouse was so fed up with ads that they also got YouTube Prime for our household, so I kind of get it by proxy since you can add family members, which I feel very lucky to do. But that is actually one of the subscriptions that we have, also for the music, which is nice. Sylvia says, I once carved a set of knoll binding needles for a friend in a trade for a set of interchangeable needles. Very fun and satisfying to carve them. Ooh, I believe that. That does sound like a fun project. I love exchanging stuff with friends who can make stuff. Like, I know it's discouraged by the government because gifting economies can't be taxed in the same way, or they're much harder to tax, which is an interesting conundrum, but we like gifting economies, and I like especially when you have friends who have different skills, and I'll be like, I can make you this thing and then you make me this thing, and they would be far too expensive for either of us to afford, but since we both put a lot of effort into making this thing for our friend or loved one, it all works out. Like, I get all of your effort because you have this skill, and you get all of my effort because I have this other skill. And yet another reason to maybe not learn all the crafts, because sometimes it is very fun to exchange with others so that they too get to, you know, feel that sense of community and helping one another and contributing. It's a difficult thing. I made my first needle binding needle out of a beech twig. It's a good choice. Beech is a good wood. I think mine was birch, and it was a splinter from a piece of firewood, so already good and dry. Carved in a winter night, not unlike this one, when we had learned about needle binding and were so excited to try it that we couldn't wait to order anything online and have it shipped to us. Had to have it now. And so whittling became the thing. Let's see, CGM asks, have you ever used knoll binding for a triangle shawl, or would you not recommend it? I haven't done it myself, but I have seen people do it. It works similarly to crochet, since you're using, you know, you have one stitch at a time, and you're kind of working one row. So you need to add more stitches towards the end to widen it out. I guess some people also, I have seen people who like start with a really long strip, and then they decrease it in the similar way, but I always find it more manageable mentally to start with the tip and widen it out when I do triangular shawls, but both work equally well. But yeah, I haven't done it myself, but people have made it. I have seen people at Viking markets with needle-bound triangular shawls. It's definitely possible. I think actually making like absolutely square things a bit more challenging because it's so geometric, but triangles, you'll get into the groove of things. But yeah, just like crochet, you just need to sort of add more on the end so that you get more stitches when including what extra you need to turn around. Plus the adverts mean that someone is making a living, and all of the folks involved in making the ads. That is a good point. I mean, half of my income on the channel comes from ads, the other half from Patreon, and that has been stable almost since the beginning, which I find really interesting. So in a way, if the ads keep following Patreon, I might make do with, you know, asking fewer people for their hard-earned money if we can get more money from advertisers. But yeah, that money is always such a tricky subject because, you know, times are challenging for many folks. But yeah, it does contribute half of my income from the channel, and that is very valuable, which is why when there are ads on the live stream, we take a break and chill out, because you're supporting the channel. When you get served ads, you know, I get a small cut of that revenue, so that helps support me to make more videos for you, which is hopefully what you want, I hope. Otherwise you wouldn't be here, maybe. Although if someone is out there hate watching, then I'm not going to deny you that if that happened to be your thing. Not something I enjoy though personally. I just remove myself from things I don't like, but not for me to deny you if that gives you joy, you know. Do you, but hopefully you want me to make more videos, because that is what I intend to do. A lot of ads I'm getting recently look made by AI, so I'm not even sure someone got paid for making them. Oh, interesting. Although I should have assumed that that would be something that AI would get into. I have not seen any of those myself, but yeah, I guess that is to be expected. Sylvia says the needles also get shiny and smooth from the oils on our hands. Yeah, the oils on our hands do a lot of conditioning and moistening, and a lot of things, which I find interesting. And I crack a walnut open and rub them down before I start, so they pass through the wool very smooth. Oh, that is a good idea. We don't have walnuts growing wild in Norway generally, except from quite far south. Maybe a hazelnut would work. I mean, I do have other seed oils, but that is an interesting idea to make sure that they are nice and conditioned. Usually buy needle binding needles online and use acrylic. Yeah, that is interesting, because I had never heard of people successfully using acrylic, but I'm happy for anything that makes people do the craft that they enjoy. I am very fond of wool, and luckily I am able to buy wool because I craft so slowly that I don't use a lot of material. And I have friends who shower me and stuff, plus secondhand shops, but I do encourage anyone to craft using whatever gives them joy, because that is important. And Lee Art has joined us. Hello, Lee, welcome. And Lee says they just finished supper and will sit down to knit for a bit on socks. That is lovely. I haven't shown this in a while, but for anyone who are joining us later in the game, I am working on a triangular As You Like It shawl. It is soon to be done in all the different various patterns. You know, we're at the stage where one back and forth row easily takes a live stream, so even if there are only, what, I think I'm gonna make one more hexagon and then be done, so maybe like 10 rows. It's still gonna take a while. Stripey says, yes, please, more videos, but on your own schedule with lots of rest in between. I am trying. And I'm also trying to make some smaller videos that I can produce faster, so that, you know, even in between migraine and rest days, I can still get something out at least, so that we have some fun to share. Because I also think it's nice and manageable to work on smaller projects that don't get, you know, you don't sit there with 4 to 5 hours of raw footage and just wonder where do I even start? Joanna says no wild walnuts in Norway, so there are no food cans for the crows. Oh, the clever Corvids. And continues by saying, here they collect and store the walnuts and then let them be cracked by cars when they want to eat them in winter. Oh, that is so clever. That is really, like, trust corvids to come up with ingenious solutions like that. No, I have never seen a crow do that. I know there are some people further south in Norway who buy walnut trees and import them and like grow them in their gardens. Same with peach. If you have a really warm sunny spot and maybe a lot of compost to decompose and keep the soil warm, they can be successful, but I haven't seen them wild. But we do have a lot of hazel and hazelnuts, so that does help. But the crows here eat a lot of rowan berries as far as I know, and of course carrion if they can get it, and eggs. A lot of berries is what I see them eat mostly, and insects, I think. Do corvids? They don't really forage like that, do they? But blueberries, you know the blueberries are ripe because the bird droppings on the ground will turn a virulent, like super colorful purple, which is like, okay, now it's time to go into the forest to get blueberries because now the birds have started eating them. In the vein of using non-wool for knoll binding, I've been desperate to learn how cotton knoll-bound socks were made. Do we know how they joined lengths of cotton together, since it doesn't felt like wool? I am unsure. That makes me wonder about the Egyptian knoll-bound socks, since Egyptians were so good with linen. Are they made of linen? And how did they join them? Although I have... I was thinking of people who knit from the fleece, but that wouldn't work with needle binding because you'd make the knots. You do need to splice no matter how you do it, but I am unsure. I know that these days, like, people have shared methods of joining yarn that doesn't require felting at all and doesn't have tips. Like, there are a lot of videos online where people show how to join yarn without it being feltable, and also without burning it like you can with synthetic fibers and just melting it together. But I'm unsure how they would do it. They are not techniques that I am familiar with myself, since I've only needle bound with wool so far. The As You Like It shawl looks magnificent. Thank you. It is soon to be done, and then we have a warm friend to keep us comfortable. Gooberface says, what about the Russian join? That is indeed a good contender. I don't know if cotton socks are historical, if that is what they would have used, but that is a very good contender for something you can use today to splice things when you are needle binding. I've been saving walnut shells to make a pincushion. My felting needles are all rusted when I finally got them. Oh no. So now I'm nervous about it happening again. That would be very upsetting if that happened. Yeah, we can get walnuts in the store to use the shells of, but none wild that I have observed. When I made my walnut pincushion, I actually was talking to a friend in Germany who had walnuts, and they insisted on sending me some, which was super lovely. So I ended up using those, which was very special, you know, getting to use someone's wild foraged walnuts. That was very fun. But yeah, that is not something I would expect hiding around, at least not in the parts of Norway where I have been hiking. Hazel is a lot more prevalent as a local nut. Max says, some of my relatives have sensitive skin or skin issues such as psoriasis, and you are afraid that wool might cause a rash. Well, some people with psoriasis can handle wool and some people can't. I don't think you can know it ahead of time. I have a friend with an aggressive form of psoriasis on their feet, and they are quite upset that they can't wear wool socks until it burns itself out, is the term that the doctor used. Like, it's very aggressive, but apparently it has a lifetime of 15 years, which is interesting, not something I had heard of before. And they look forward to the day they can adorn their feet once more with woolen socks. So it is definitely a thing that some people struggle with. But I think you have to know the person and their condition individually to know whether they can handle a thing or not. I always I always follow, ask the person, don't just make assumptions based on whatever conditions they have, because you never know what individual considerations they might have. I remember going picking hazelnuts as a child living near Oslo. Now where I live, I'll find more chestnuts than anything else. Ooh. Yeah, we do have chestnuts in Norway, but only the horse chestnuts, the not edible ones. Which is sad. I think in the UK they also call them conkers, or is that just a game that you play with horse chestnuts? I know it from, the Tolkien, but I don't know the details exactly. But we had some large horse chestnut trees nearby, and they are very fun. Very spiky, but very fun. I remember in primary school we liked to eat the hazelnuts, while they were still green and unripe. They never had the chance to ripen. We would just eat them while they were just green. Just another fun and weird things primary school children get up to. Trust me to lose the last stitch. We can do it. Do we have time for one more row? I'm not entirely sure that we do, but we're gonna make a start on it anyway. See, 1, 2, here. I wonder what our big projects for 2025 will be. Do you have any projects that are like small projects and bigger projects? Because I like to have both. Like this one was a very nice project for live streams because I could just pick it up and put it down at will. And we need some more of those because we finished the pouch that we worked on last year, and now we're almost finishing this one, so 2025 needs some new ones. I have yarn for a couple of cardigans, and I'm wondering if I should make a start on those this year. I promised I bought yarn for one for spouse, and I kind of want to get that going this year. Maybe have that done for next Yule. Oh, time frames are so long. I thought Conkers was the game, but maybe also the name for the spiky outside bit, which you can use to make ink or dye in warm brown color. Yeah, I thought also it was like the game. I didn't know about the dye. That makes sense though, because they would have a lot of tannins, don't they? Or do they have tannins? I'm not sure. I know you use oak galls to make ink. I did not realize you could also use horse chestnuts to make ink and dye things brown. That is good to know, because they are, I mean, when you find a horse chestnut tree and it provides a lot, whereas oak galls are significantly harder to procure, and you have to make sure you don't hurt the tree. Your Charlie's so pretty. Well, thank you. It is a very simple pattern, and I enjoy that I don't have to make decisions that far in advance, that I can just change my mind all the time. Or I could just keep with the same one throughout the whole thing. Ooh, and I also thank you to whoever mentioned that when I clicked mute I wasn't actually muting myself. I think I have found the problem, and I had accidentally, OBS is a fun little thing, but I'd accidentally added 2 microphone sort of audio mixing things, and I'd hidden one of them. So when I When I muted myself, it still had the one that was hidden that was not muted. And so I wasn't doing anything at all when I clicked the mute button. But I think the muting works now. So if I hit mute and I pour myself another cup of tea, I don't think the raspiness of the thermos shall bother you. Let's give it a try and you let me know if I'm properly muted, alright? 3, 2, 1. Luxler says we were successfully muted. I love to see it. That means that I can make noise without blowing your eardrums out. Very good. 1 year later and I'm still figuring out this whole streaming thing. Your music is still going, but I can't hear you or your thermos? Yes, they are two separate things, although I can mute the audio too, but they are two separate outputs, which I like. I mean, that I can control the volume to the music and the microphone individually, which is very good. Ellen says they like the cat cam. Yeah, cat cam is my favorite too. She's so cute. It's very arbitrary though. You never know if she's actually going to want to join or not, and sometimes I have to move it around to follow her. But yeah, definitely my favorite part of the stream, and I get to enjoy it live. Many people saying that it worked. That is very good. I am very happy about that. Let's see, Stripey Crayons is saying that horse chestnuts do have a lot of tannins, and you crack one open, the spiky bit goes brown from oxidation almost immediately. The ink is not as dark as oak galls though. Yeah, that would make sense, but I mean, so much more accessible, at least in these parts, that's kind of worth experimenting with all the same, just for funsies. I think you can use walnut shells, the soft parts, to dye. I don't know if it is something common. I have heard of people doing that, Marianne. I haven't tried it myself because, again, it's not something that is easily accessible in these parts, but now I'm tempted to try to dye something with horse chestnut shells instead. Moss Fairy says, I don't understand how the subtitles come up before you say the word. That is because in order for YouTube to allow you to enable subtitles, they add a little bit of latency. That would be how that works. It's because there is a little bit of latency between when I say a thing and you actually seeing it, which is also why I can't respond to chat things immediately. I also have that little bit of lag on my end, or I suppose it's not a lag, but because you see things a second or two after I say it, you can't respond until a second or two after you have actually seen me say it. So that is how the subtitles are sometimes a little bit mismatched. It's because in order for the auto captions to work, they take a few, I don't know how long it is, but like a second or two. That is how that magic is working, and we like captions, so we want captions to be enabled. And we are, happy to sacrifice those few seconds for the accessibility for those who needs them, which, speaking of, we shall have ads in a moment, so let's have a little hydration break and I will show you my shawl. see, and then Moose Fairy asks what I am knitting, and they are knitting a sock for themselves right now, which I love to see. Make sure you also knit things for yourself and not just for other people. If you, like me, like making gifts for others, sometimes we need to make stuff for ourselves. I am knitting a shawl. This is, if you've seen it on my channel, there's a video called the As You Like It shawl, and it is black. And almost as soon as I finished that video and published it, I cast one on in white because I wanted one for myself too, and I had a large spool sitting around of this thin white wool, so I figured why not. So it is almost done. I can't really fan it out for you right now because I'm in the middle of a row, but it has a center stripe and side stripes, and then you just sort of cycle between different patterns that are all in a digital file that is available for free. If you go to that video, you can find the pattern, and I designed all the patterns to work in repeats of 8 or 16 so that they all sort of stack on top of each other, so long as you keep your the stitch marker in the same place. They should all stack on top of each other and be symmetrical. That was something that was important for me because I imagine other people would also be bothered if, you know, you started a different pattern and it was slightly askew from the previous symmetry. That would hurt my brain, and I didn't want to do that to you, so I limited myself to, or condensed patterns or changed patterns slightly so that they would fit within that, you know, multiplicative of 8 limit. So that is what is available to you. Yeah, it's on my website because that is how I can give you PDF files and stuff like that, but it is for free, so you can just download it. If you would like to have a go, they are quite fun to make because you don't have to decide on the pattern from the get-go and follow, you know, great big long pattern sheets that go on for days and days. You can just choose one pattern and then do a different pattern and then change it up as you go. You just do one repeat and then you change, or you do 3 repeats and you change. And it, at least for me, felt more manageable. And you still end up with something with a lot of different patterns, which I thought is fun. And Gooberface says they are knitting a lupa pesa style sweater for my partner. Almost finished and can't wait for them to try it on. Oh, that is such an exciting and also scary part, you know, making sure that it fits and all the fun stuff. But how exciting that you are almost finished. I'm sure your partner will find it very warm and nice and feel loved when they wear it. That is such a fun thing for me. And Jente as well chiming in with, yes, walnut husks are great for dyeing and also for making inks. Bister is an ink made from walnuts. A really gorgeous dark brown and great for painting. Oh, so versatile. I love that. Let's see. My first New Year's projects, never less than 3, will be the socks I'm working on just now, finishing a patchwork I've been working on for 3 years, and teach myself to hand make soft pastels. Ooh, the pastels is really exciting. That sounds like a lot of fun. And Jente says, as someone who likes experimenting with natural dyes, I'm super lucky to have a walnut tree in my garden. Oh, that's so cool. We do not have a garden, but I hope to have one eventually. I would like a garden filled with trees and fun things because I love trees and I want to plant trees, but for that I need a garden so that I can plant trees upon. One day it shall happen, I hope. Would love to try lace knitting. I really enjoy lace knitting because it means I only have one thread at a time. I don't think it's too bad, and some people find it challenging. Again, depends on what you're used to. I did also make a little clumsy video of trying to show you the different stitches that I use for this shawl, so that you should have everything that you need if you want to try to make it. It is not quite as fancifully edited as some of my other videos, but I tried to keep it clear and accessible for people. So they all exist if you want to have a look at that, if you want to give it a go. And you can always try swatches of the different patterns that you like, so you get some practice before you commit to a great big shawl. And Lee Art asks, what's your alls? Bad English, I know. I'm not quite sure what you mean, Lee, by alls. Could you elaborate? Either in Norwegian or English is fine. I had a thought. Oops, that was not what we were supposed to do. There we go. And Loxalir says, my current project is knitting a reproduction of a sweater that belonged to my mom. Oh yeah, that one. You share that one in Discord. I've also got a patchwork desk cape poncho started to keep me toasty when I'm at my desk. And a few vests. Ooh yeah, I also was using a cape that I made way back in the beginning of the channel as an indoor, you know, keeping me warm garment for a while before I finished the sweater that I wear sometimes, which I haven't needed in this new place as much because this new place is quite well insulated and quite warm, which is a luxury I have never enjoyed before. It's kind of weird that it's winter outside and I'm not always wearing a full coat of wool indoors. It's weird, yeah, strange. But yeah, they're definitely nice to have those kind of house indoor things to keep one warm. It's very, very nice. And Max says, I think I remember that someone made a yarmulke in knoll binding, but I'm thinking about making a kufi cap using knoll binding as well for my brother when he does his sunnah prayers. Go for it. I mean, it's always nice for loved ones to feel seen and valued for who they are and not who we wish they were. So, you know, sharing their beliefs and, you know, making sure that you show that you share and respect them is a great thing. That could be a fun little project, and it's always nice to have different things to keep us creative and challenged. After finishing, and Blue Iris says, after finishing up a few UFOs, I look forward to starting a new Sashiko embroidery pre-printed panel of playful cats. Ooh, that sounds like a very fun project. Always in favor of some cats. Love to see it. So many fun projects. Did I do it again? Yes, I did. You're not supposed to do that. And then over. Thank you. Lynn says, I started the year by finishing a Sashiko UFO that had been gathering dust for 6 months. I blame all the little finicky parts. I hear you though, sometimes projects just do that. Like the red sweater that is lying right over there that I, again, used to wear a lot and still wear, and especially in the mornings when it's chilly. It took a year and a half, and a lot of that was because it was sitting in my knitting bag and I wasn't working on it. I probably did easily go 6 months without working on it because everything happened with the move and chaos and all of the things. So I get it. It's frustrating, but it happens. At least you picked it back up again. And which is always nice, because sometimes UFOs, I just end up unraveling them because I lost the motivation to work on them. And I would rather have the materials back to start something new, especially if it's yarn work and I can easily just frog it. But sometimes we don't want to do that. And Lee says, I would love to hear about the future projects you all have. Yes, that is a good. That is what we were talking about, isn't it? Like different future projects that we can have fun with. I have a couple in mind that are going to show up on the channel, but I don't want to spoil it if people are wary of spoilers. There are usually always some in the audience who don't like spoilers, so we want to respect that, but I have some exciting things coming, at least I think so. I'm having a lot of fun planning them and working on them, so we shall see. So Lynn says, every time I have to start a new thread, my motivation just gets cut in two. This is why I use super long threads. But at least you find a way to work on it that works for you, right? That is always a good start. I have, you know, given up using very, very long threads because I find it so frustrating in the beginning. And then usually my needle cuts through it and I get frustrated because my needle snapped or my thread snapped. But I understand the inclination to use really long thread. I also really like needle binding needles that have multiple holes. I have one with 2 and you're meant to like put multiple bunches of thread or yarn in them so that you can have even longer super long threads before you need to splice it. And I have a great need to experiment with that and see what kind of fun we can do. And Blue Iris is also agreeing or like hearing, and they say they make their barrier to entry lower by starting a new sashiko thread as they quit for the day. So the next time I pick it up, it's all set to go. I like that. I feel like that is similar to how if I make a mistake and I need to unravel something, I will usually end the day by like finishing the unraveling or the unpicking or whatever it is, so that when I come the next day, I can get straight to starting afresh and working again. Because if I need to start by undoing my mistake, I find that demotivating. But if I end the day there, because usually I make mistakes because I'm tired and it's towards the end of the day, but if I like end the day by fixing the problem and I can just start with like clean slate the next day, I do find that a lot easier. I feel like that is kind of in the same thread as what you're saying, Blue Iris, which I think is a good thing, you know. It also sounds like when people are suggesting that when you're working on a project, like it's a good idea to put down and take a break when you know exactly what you're doing. So not actually when you've just finished a task, but either when you've just begun or you're in the middle of something, because that means that when you get up to stretch or take a break or finish your work day, when you come back the next day, you know exactly where to start and can get a head start. I'm not very good at that myself, but I find the psychology of it interesting. Ooh, Kara chiming in. Welcome, Kara, new subscriber. And you say, can confirm that Conkers is both informal name for horse chestnuts and the game here in England. Thank you. I guess that is one mystery solved, and also welcome. Hope you are having a good start to the new year. And Sylvia says, speaking of cats, I'm really hoping to make the cat knit sweater by Andrea Rangel. Oh, I love me a good cat pattern. There are so many good ones. They're just itching to get made, and people are so creative. I love how many different patterns we have these days, because people are, you know, making what they want and then sharing it with the world. Lynn says this pattern had tons of tiny bits that each needed to be started and ended, and it took longer to start them than stitching the sections. Never again. Wow, that is interesting. But it'll be very nice when it's finished, though. Gooberface says, recently finished a knitted cable Afghan that I started 3 years ago. Discovered I don't have patience for knitting Afghan blankets, even with a cable pattern. Anyone else have this difficulty? Some things I just accept. There are just some things that I don't enjoy making. Like, personally, I don't enjoy pulling out a ruler and making a grid before I embroider something, which is why I generally lean towards very loose embroidery patterns that aren't super geometrical, or things like thread counting patterns like black work or white work, or pulled thread embroidery, because I can just count the threads. So again, I don't have to make a diagram because the diagram is inherent in the fabric, or I can just take a chalk marker and draw the embroidery on. That is personally one limitation for me, that I just don't enjoy sitting down and measuring out everything in super detailed beforehand. So I tend to avoid those projects. I don't know about big projects. I mean, sometimes, as with this shawl, I just enjoy having something where I don't have to do a lot of thinking, but I understand that some people would find it a bit too big and would want it finished. It's just personal preference. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with just not wanting to make certain things. It goes into, again, what we were talking about with having a community where different people have different skills. So if you like to make this one thing and you really don't like to make this other thing, maybe you find a friend, community member who enjoys making that thing, and then you swap crafts and both are happy because you get to make the thing that you enjoy. We don't have to force ourselves to make things if we don't enjoy them. I give you permission not to do that, especially when we're crafting for fun. Blue Iris is also commiserating with Lynn about the sashiko and pattern stuff, and they did a Hokusai's The Great Wave sashiko, and it was really pretty, but also never doing that sort of non-repeating pattern again. Yeah, there are just some things that are fun to do once, and then we know that that is not the thing for us, personally. It's a cool project, though. I mean, the wave must be a gorgeous subject for sashiko. It would lend itself really well to that kind of thing, that kind of beauty. At least you have that made that beauty now. That is something. And Loxolaire is suggesting maybe a patch afghan would be better, like knitting a whole bunch of smaller square and then attaching them together. That is definitely a thing, and one of the reasons why granny squares were and are so popular, because you have small things that you can bring with you. Hello, sweetie. Are we allowed to be on the desk? I thought we talked about this. But you are so very cute. And I am not very good at being strict. Hi. Would you like some pouch time? Or have you slept a lot recently and would like to just take a nap? Or wake up? Shall we try? It's very easy to know if she accepts it or not, because if she does, she stays a pretzel. And if she doesn't, she throws her back like a toddler, and then you couldn't put it in her if you wanted. Oh, look at her. You are very, very cute. Shall we try to move the cat cam so you can enjoy her majesty having an awesome snooze? Give me a moment. Look at all these technical advancements. Clamp on a stick. And then I should be able to turn. There she is. Am I allowed to turn this one a little bit more without you getting too impatient? There you go, sweetie. Her majesty, I know, right? She is her majesty, though. Of course we are allowed to be on the desk. This is our house. Well, I mean, I suppose. They do love my workroom because they are allowed to be on the tables and everything, but... Stripey crayons chiming in with stuff they don't like small patterns like hats because they take much less time than big projects, but still longer than I expect. Ooh, I can understand that one. And more chats about the Afghan and using scraps. Haley says, I'd like to commiserate over thousands of rows of data with dozens of columns being garbled and mismanaged by a database exporter. Oh no, that is so painful. Oof, that is no fun. Is there any chance you can export it again and it works, or do you just have to go in and manually fix it? Because that is painful. It's the cat's house, I just pay the bills. Does your cats go outside? I am unusual in that. In Norway, indoor cats are not common, but our cats are very happy indoor cats. We got them as kittens from the shelter, and we're very happy to be indoors. Although the last place we lived, Spouse did build them a catio, which we are hoping to repeat in this place when summer comes around, and it's easier to build things outside so they can enjoy the fresh air outside. But I am very much a fan of indoor cats because cats are the biggest threat to the bird population, wild birds, and I don't think that just because we have a cuddly, adorable friend in our lives that we have the right to decimate the local wildlife populations. So we have indoor cats. Both of them are, but they are very happy, and we accept that we have to play with them more than if you have outdoor cats. And that you need to provide more enrichment and more entertainment and more everything for them because they don't have the great big outdoors to entertain with them. But they are also generally healthier and live longer, so that is something that I very much enjoy, that my little baby, hopefully statistically, has a greater chance of becoming an older cat. No cars or foxes or other cats to hurt her other than her baby sister, who they generally, they get pretty rowdy, but I do cut their claws, so we haven't had any big mishaps that we had to take to the vet yet. You never know, they're still cats, still gonna fight a bit, but yeah, our cats live inside, and we play with them, and they love their window time to look at the birds. Blue Iris says, our 3 cats are strictly indoor as well. It's the law here. Ooh, I actually love that. But mostly the law is indoor. Interesting. Yeah, it is not neither the law nor the custom in Norway. A lot of people in Norway think that it is, animal cruelty to keep your cats indoors. For some reason, they think cats are very different from dogs, and that they have a need to be outside. But we have found that with ours, they are very happy. They are very engaged, they're, healthy and everything. So we haven't had any issues with our babies being indoors, for us at least. Alex says, oh no, I'm going to have to miss this stream too because I have to go again in a few minutes. Oh well, it is like that sometimes, Alex, but you are very welcome, Happy New Year. Would you like to enjoy some, if I can move the microphone for a moment? Suda started snoring. It's the cutest. Look. I love it when she starts snoring, it's so cute. Haley says, I must manually fix it, oh no. Which I've already spent 80 hours in the past doing. And then one of our website devs changed the program and royally messed it up and no way to revert. I need tea. Oh, that is painful. But yeah, on the bright side, it is job security, but it's never, comfortable to do the things that shouldn't be necessary, that should be able to just make themselves. But commiserations, tea is decidedly in order. Absolutely. Could you hear her snoring? It is... I never know quite how sensitive the noise cancelling on the microphone is, but it seems like Alex could at least hear some of it. It's the best. And Max says, in my state, we usually keep our pets indoors to prevent any predators from attacking them. Very sensible, like coyotes, for example, as well as hawks and other animals. Yeah, it is similar in parts of Norway too. Like foxes are the thing all over Norway, and other cats can be a threat, as well as lynx if you're far in the wild. And I also know a friend of a friend lived on an island in the far north where there are a lot of eagles, like proper big. Are they? I don't think they're bald eagles. We call them sea eagles in Norwegian, havern. They are very big. I don't think they're... I can't remember the English name, but they are really big, big wingspan. And they had outdoor cats, and they had to get Maine Coons, because anything else, the eagle would just grab out of thin air and run off with. It was, coexisting with nature can be a challenging thing. You could hear? Oh, I love it. Some snoring to finish the stream off. Outdoor cats can be really detrimental to local songbird populations, particularly in residential areas where people have bird feeders and this easy hunting. Not the cat's fault, of course. No, it isn't the cat's fault, but it's not the bird's fault either. We have the graph. Let's see. See if we can get this to work. Graph, I want the graph. Because there was a study on this that saw, I think this is the one, Statista, that told us, can I get a big, I would like a big. There we go, let's see if I can do, let's see if I can do. Oh, it's a little bit askew. Can I move my face? But yeah, talking about how cats do absolutely decimate bird population versus wind turbines, which are usually argued as being very harmful. But of course they do, it's important to remember that they do kill very different birds. Like wind turbines generally go for larger birds like eagles and hawks and like other raptors, which is in itself bad. But cats are an enormous problem for the wild bird population. They do account for a large part of bird deaths, both, eggs and small babies and adult birds. So that has become something that the longer I keep these indoor snuggly babies, the more I support having indoor cats, because yeah, I just don't think that having a cute furry companion entitles me to contribute to ruining local bird populations, because we do need our birds. Happy to have heard little Snoot snore, but I had to go. I'll see you next time, Alex, maybe, or see you when you have the time. I understand someone wanting their cat to run free. Yeah, we grew up with a free roaming cat. That is the norm in Norway still. That is the most common thing that people do. So I definitely get it. I'm not trying to point fingers at anyone. It's just our choice has been to keep them indoors for their safety and for bird safety. I thought that keeping cats indoors also protects them from getting belly worms from eating wild creatures, but I'm not so sure on that. Yes, they do get less pests, both from eating dead animals, but also from, interacting with other cats who might have FIV, feline immuno, similar to HIV, but for cats, isn't it? That is, something they can't get rid of. So there's definitely a thing that we do still keep our cats vaccinated, because you never know, you can bring things home as the human, either at the soles of your shoes or if you have been interacting. Oop, we get ads and I forgot to skip them because I am a bad streamer. Let's see, I was a bad streamer and ooh, spouse is making food, we must inspect. Goodbye. Yes, I was gonna say I was a bad streamer and forgot to either postpone the ads or stop what I was talking about because I got so into it. But yes, you can indeed. We still vaccinate our cats because you can very much bring diseases with you, either with cuddling other cats and, having things on your hands, or, as is often a thing, you can have things under the soles of your shoes. That isn't, the chances aren't that big, but it is still a chance, so we definitely keep our cats up to date on their vaccinations. Plus, that means we get to go to the vet once a year and do a general health checkup, which is always a good thing to try to pick up anything early. Jinx Leo says that they keep their cats inside because of dangers to them also. Yeah, very true. And I have a former feral that lives her first year and a half outside, and even if the door accidentally gets open, she'll just sit in the doorway. Yeah, they have learned that the indoor life is very nice. Our cat can go outside, but she will live 23 hours a day inside, just play a little in our courtyard and walk a little with our old dog, then inside again. And yes, we have to play a lot with her. Yes, same. We do have to play a lot with our cats to keep them engaged. It is what it is. But yeah. Also see many cats getting hurt? Yeah. That is definitely something we don't want. I mean, you can never guard against everything, but it is nice to try to keep them as safe as we can, because they're a little precious fur babies, aren't they? And we want to keep them safe. Gotta run. Thanks for the cozy time. Thank you, Stripy Crayons. Have a good one. I'm a little bit late in responding because I was fiddling around with all of the everything, as I do, but I hope you have a good rest of your day, regardless of whether you actually hear me or not, as I am slow to respond to these things. There's now a treatment for FIP, at least here in the United States. I will assume that it is available in Norway then too. I'd heard about that. I don't know if we have a lot of cats with FIP though, but I could be wrong. But it is very good that they have finally found the treatment for it, which is very encouraging for those cats who do have it still. Haley says they won't judge one person one way or the other, but they want people to be aware of the consequences and that they have informed choices. Yeah, same. I want to talk about these things, not as a means of making people feel bad, but just so that they have information. And often it is very hard to convert an outdoor cat to an indoor cat because they have enjoyed the outdoors and they want to go back outdoors. But I have a couple of friends who are starting to say that, they still have outdoor cats, but when that cat eventually passes, they are considering getting an indoor cat because we have been talking about these things and there is more awareness around these things than there was 20 years ago. So I think talking about it can be very valuable in spreading awareness, even if change, as always, takes time. You had a cat, but they got into some gopher poison? Yeah, poison is bad. Plus, of course, we have black cats, which means we have to be extra cautious, because even though Norway is still fairly safe, there is always reports in and around Halloween, especially regarding black cats, where, teenagers do awful violent stuff. Or maybe not teenagers, but violent crime happens to especially black cats, because they have stereotypes, and I do not want my voids to suffer, so yeah, many reasons either way, but can all agree that fur fuzzballs are very, very cute, and we love them dearly and want what is best for them, and I think everyone does. Hopefully. Want what is best for their little animal companions. We weren't sure about getting. I always wanted cats, but we were always a bit I lived for many years in student accommodations where pets were not allowed unless it was a service animal. So I got used to living as an adult without pets. And it is very easy when you need to travel somewhere that you don't need to find someone to watch over your pet. But we got our 12-year-old Enya a while ago, and to test it out because we knew that she would leave us sooner than if we got a kitten, so then we kind of got to test the waters, so to speak. And now we have two adorable cats that keep us company, and they just very, very nice. There's so much company in them. It's amazing. And Doro chiming in with FIV being cat AIDS and FIP peritontitis. Is it peritontitis or periodontitis? Because isn't that the tooth thing? I was not aware that they were two different things, but that is very good of you to point out. Thank you. I also have two black indoor tomcats. Yeah, they are so cute. I do love me some black cats, and since people don't like to adopt them, I can get to be picky about it. Running out of battery. Have a good evening, everyone. Have a good one, Lynn. I hope you have a good rest of your day with or without battery. I guess we're almost finishing up here too, and as luck would have it, I'm almost at the end of my row, so we shall manage to finish that. And then we get to start our next row with only purl stitches the next time we pick up this project, which shall be quite nice. I am in favor. Although my brain likes to think of one knit and one purl row as one set, so it's sometimes a bit hard to put it down when I have a purl row. But this project, like these rows are so long that sometimes you just can't help it. It's just something we have to accept. It's an inflammation of the tummy. Ah, thank you. That does not sound very comfortable at all. Absolutely. Very happy that they have found a treatment for that. Not good with tummy issues. They are no fun. Gotta get back to work. Have a good one, Gooberface. See you around, maybe. We are almost finishing up here. I just have a handful of stitches left to do. Happy crafting, everyone, from Blue Iris. Yes. We shall be a good start to a new year of crafting. Is this the right direction? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, yes. It's what happens when you're trying to chat with chat as you are knitting. It's always ripe for mistakes. There we go. One more row in the books. So once more, because I have to get used to actually showing you what I'm making and not just talking about it, we have a long shawl quite ready to get done. At least I think she's getting done. When I block it, it ends up so much bigger than I think it was, so I do think this is quite... I do think it is getting big enough, even if a part of me is always doubting it, and then I end up with a absolutely monstrous oversized shawl. Because I can't believe myself when I'm like, no, it is big enough, I promise. Hello Gisela, and thank you for joining us. We are just wrapping up, so thank you everyone for a lovely chat, a lovely time of day, whatever that looks like for you. I hope you have a good start to the year, and if you haven't joined the Discord yet, that is where I will announce if I am too sick to host a live stream. If not, I try to do a live stream every Thursday around this time. It is 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. approximately Norwegian time. But since I have a chronic illness, I sometimes have to cancel last minute, which I will let you know in the Discord if you follow the link in the pinned comment. But that is all for this time. Take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and have a good rest of your week. Bye!